you should be open to page 35. And before we start reading, we're going to read that first little part together, and then you're going to read the story of faith on your own. But before we start, let's talk about what's going to happen in this lesson. You are going to learn about someone who used their talents. That means the things that they were good at to love others and to care for them. So why do you think we're reading a story about someone who used their talents, which are the things that they were good at? Kingston, put it in your banner, put it in the trash can. Why do you think we're going to read a story about a person who used their talents to love and care for others? Why do you think we would read a story about someone who used their talents, the things they were good at, to love and care for others? Victoria?
To know how we can use our talents.
Exactly. To see how we could possibly use our talents to love and care for others. Because sometimes we have the same talent as somebody else. Do we all have the same talents, though? Are we all good at the same things? But sometimes we might be not so good at something, but there's something else that we're really good at. Like say we're just, for some reason, math just doesn't really click right away. It takes a minute. But then in writing, our writing is great. So just because we're not so good at something, does that mean we should get down and be like, oh, I can't do anything because I can't do this one thing right? Should we get upset about that? No, because most likely there's something else that you are better than anybody else at. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. We know that we were made in the image of God. We also know that we are unique. Were we all created exactly the same way? No. We all have minds and wills like God. We all have a body like other humans. But are we all exactly the same? Are all of our minds the same? Are all of our bodies the same? Are all of the choices that we make the same? No. So even though we were created in the image of God, we are all unique. Please make sure you're paying attention. So we each are good at a lot of things. Are we good at everything, though? This lesson actually works perfectly with our daily precept from today. What was our daily precept? What was our daily precept? Aaron, since you're right there.
No one is good at everything, but everyone is good at something.
Good. No one is good at everything, but everyone is good at something. Sorry, up a little bit, because now all I see is your book and not you. Sorry, up a little. A little more, a little more, a little more. Okay, a little more, because I barely see any of you. I'd rather see more of you and just a little of your work than all of your work and just a little bit of you. Okay, that's better. So, just like our daily precept says, no one is good at everything, but everyone is good at something. Are we all good at the same things? No. Some of you may be good at sports. Some of you may be good at chess. Some of you may be good at both. Some of you may not be good at either, but there's something else that you are good at. So, just because one person has a talent at sports and one person has a talent at chess, does that mean that the person who's talented with sports is better? Or is their talent with sports better than the other person with the other person's talent at chess? No. Our talents are different, they are unique, but no one person's talent is better or greater than anyone else. The important thing is not how good we are at it, not what that thing is, but how we use it to love and help others. So let's look at page 35. And let's go ahead and read at the top. I will have two people read. One person will read the first paragraph. The other person will read the second paragraph. Carla, read the first paragraph. Don't forget to include the title. So everybody, finger ready to follow along.
Different person.
Hold on, Carla. I think the volume's not. Yeah. Okay, Carla, start again, but hold on. Let me make sure everybody's finger's ready to follow along. Okay, Carla, go ahead.
Different person, different talents. God created us as unique,
Individuals.
Individuals with different talents and personal talents. No two person, not even equality twins. Identical twins were exact alike.
So even identical twins are not exactly alike. Yes, their DNA is exactly alike. The way they look is exactly alike. But the way they act, the way they feel about things, the way that they respond to things, the things that they are good at are not exactly the same. No two people are exactly the same. Keep going, Carla.
There has never been a person
Exactly
like you before. And there will never be one exactly like you in the future.
Okay, thank you, Carla. Carla, make sure you're reading the whole word before you say it out loud. Okay, so we just learned we were all created uniquely. No two people are exactly alike, even identical twins. Ethan, read next. Tell everybody the first 4 words where their finger should be. We each have many talents, but make sure you read loud so everybody at home can hear.
We each have many talents, but we may be better at one thing than another. You do not all have the same talents. One person's talents are not more important than another's. The important thing is that we use our talents to love others and care for them.
So just like what we just said, no one person's talent is more important than everybody else's. The important thing is what we do with those talents. Okay, so everybody listen. What we're going to do is you are going to read this story on your own. Sorry, make sure your camera's on. You're going to read this story on your own. We're going to start out with 10 minutes. If everybody's not done in 10 minutes, that is okay. We will move, I will give you more time. We're just going to start with 10 minutes. Go ahead when you finish. Look at page 38. You will answer, if you finish before time is up, you will answer those questions on page 38. We'll discuss them too, but I need you to answer them on your own. So the directions for numbers 1, 2, and 3 on page 38 say Saint Elizabeth of Hungary used her talents to love and care for others. After reading the story, write down 3 things that you have learned about Saint Elizabeth of Hungary. In what? Zadie? Complete sentences. I will be taking this for a grade. Then underneath it says we can imitate St. Elizabeth of Hungary by using our talents to love and care for others. What are some of your talents and how can you use them to love and care for others? So, numbers 1 through 3, you're saying 3 things you learned about St. Elizabeth in this story. Then those last 4 bullet points, you're thinking of talents that you have, things that you are good at, things that you know you could do, and how you could use those to love and care for others. I've changed my mind. Instead of giving you 10 minutes to read, we're just going to stop 10 minutes before religion is over, and we'll discuss these things. So that means read the story of St. Elizabeth of Hungary. It starts on page 35 and ends at the top of page 39. Then answer the questions on the bottom of page 38. both sets. Yes.
Mine doesn't end on page 39.
Sorry, I meant 38. The teacher's manual is like 1 or 2 pages off, and it's weird, so it confuses me. Yes, Mason.
What if I don't want to tell them?
You know, you just might have to think about it. You're good at something. Just like our daily precept and like our religion book says, everybody is good at something. Everybody is good at more than one thing. So you have to think, what are those things? And how can you use them to love and care for others? Now, caring for others and loving them might just mean how can you use them to make them happy? It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm really good at first aid so I can take care of sick people. Like, no, we can't do that. We're in 4th grade. But sometimes loving and caring for others is just how can you make them happy? I have a good sense of humor, so I can make people laugh. Or I dance really well, so I can dance for people and make them happy. I don't know, whatever. Or I'm really good at making people feel better about themselves, so I can do that. Or I'm good at giving advice, so I can help people through tough times. Or I'm good at being a friend, so I can be a friend to somebody who maybe doesn't have many friends. Something like that. Do you understand that talents aren't just all basketball or drawing or dancing or singing? Sometimes talents are being a friend or being kind or things like that. It's not necessarily just schoolwork, but if you are talented at those, you can think of how you can use them to love or care for others. Yes, Smith, what's your question?
Oh, I didn't have a question.
Oh, sorry, I thought your hand was up. Kingston, what's your question?
What if I'm looking like soccer?
Well, think of how you could use that to love or care for others. Now, again, sometimes loving or caring for others is just making them happy, making them feel welcome or good about themselves or something like that. Loving and caring for others doesn't necessarily mean taking care of them. It means how can you show that you care? Okay, any questions? Okay, go ahead. You have about like 35. You have until the long hand is on the floor to do this. Okay? So that means you read the story. Do not take 40 minutes to read the story and then have no time left to answer the questions. It will not take anybody in this classroom 35 or 40 minutes to read this story. So make sure before we discuss it, you need to have answers on page 38 for all of them. Does everybody understand? Okay, go ahead, read carefully. Do not just rush through it. Make sure that you understand what you're reading. Make inferences, ask yourself questions as you're reading so that you can really think about it and remember and comprehend what you're reading. Just reading the words is not enough. You need to understand what the words are saying. Okay, go ahead. And your book should be open. Okay, we're going to go around. What was one new interesting thing that you learned about St. Elizabeth? I'm going to pick sticks. So if somebody's already said, don't say the same thing. So you need to make sure that you're listening closely to what other people say. It's me. Kingston, what was one thing you learned about St. Elizabeth of Hungary? She gave large baskets of food to the poor. Okay? Ethan, what was one thing you learned about St. Elizabeth of Hungary? Louder.
She's giving.
So she was giving. How exactly? Can you give me a specific example other than the large baskets of food to the poor? Okay. Aaron? Louder.
One thing that I learned about her was that she died November 17th.
She died November 17th. Okay. Colin?
She helped the poor and the sick people.
Okay. She helped the poor and sick people. when you're doing things like this, you should be specific. So what specific things did she do? Mason, what was one thing you learned about St. Elizabeth of Hungary?
She built a hospital for the sick people.
She built a hospital. Very good. That's what I mean by being more specific. Like, how did she, what specifically did she do to love and care for others? So good. She built a hospital. Zari.
Elizabeth gave away her beautiful clothes to the people who needed them and kept her plain clothes.
Okay, good. So that's kind of what you were saying. Good, but more details. So thank you, Zari. Good. She gave away her beautiful clothes and kept her plain clothes. Carla, what's one thing you learned?
I have learned that Elizabeth has sold her jewelry and anything else that she could to raise money to help the poor.
Good. So she sold her jewelry to raise money to help the poor. If she had nice clothes and jewelry, what does that mean about her? Mason?
She was very wealthy.
She was very wealthy. And a lot of times, wealthy people are like, well, I have all this money. I can't get rid of my things. I love my things. I'll help others, but I can't get rid of my things. But St. Elizabeth was different. She said, I want nothing to do with all this rich stuff. I'm going to sell it all and give it all to the poor. Good. Smith, what was one thing you learned about St. Elizabeth of Hungary?
Elizabeth cleaned the homes of the poor and she cared for those who were sick.
Very good. She cleaned the homes of the poor. She was this rich, wealthy woman with lots of money, and she cleaned their homes. Zadie, what was one thing you learned?
Elizabeth was a saint. Well, she was declared a saint.
She was declared a saint. Okay. Victoria?
She worked. She did charity.
She did a lot of charity work. Okay. And Michaela?
She told them about Jesus and how they died for them.
Okay, good. She taught about Jesus and how he died for them. Good. Okay, now each of you are going to tell me one of your talents and how you can use that to help to love or care for others. Carla, what was one thing that you wrote?
I would dance and get money to give to the poor.
Okay. Zari?
I would study the brain and become a neurologist because I want to see what's wrong with people and maybe save them.
Okay. Aaron? What's one of your talents and how would you use it to love and care for others?
I'm good at reading, so I can read the people.
Good, that's a good one. Erin said she's good at reading, so she could read to other people. That makes them happy. Good. Kingston, what's one of your talents and how would you use it to show that to love and care for others? I can't hear you. Okay, you have homework to do tonight. Michaela?
I can teach people about art.
Okay, so Michaela said she's good at art, so she could teach people about art. Good. Everybody likes to learn a new talent. Teaching your talent to other people can help to show that you love and care for them. Ethan.
I like to make beats and how to bring people together.
Good. So Ethan said he likes to make beats. He's good at making beats, so he can use them to bring people together. Very good. Mason.
I can help people if they're sad.
With their what?
I can help people if they're sad.
Okay. Oh, you can help people if they're sad. So Mason says, I guess Mason, your talent must be cheering people up. Good job. Make sure you're focusing, please. Zadie.
I can run marathons to raise money.
Okay, so Zadie's good at running, so she can run marathons to save money. To raise money, not save money. Colin.
I'm good at soccer, so I can teach people how to play soccer.
Okay, so Cullen said she's good at soccer, so she could teach others to play soccer. Victoria?
I'm good at making people laugh. I can make someone feel better when I tell them.
Good. So Victoria says she's good at making people laugh, so she can make somebody feel better by telling someone a joke. Okay, good. And Smith?
I can dance and put on a show to make people happy.
Very nice. Kingston, did you think of anything?
I was going to say what Colin
Okay, so you can play soccer, so you can teach others how to play soccer. Good. Very nice, guys. Okay. Let's see. Go ahead, unless you did not finish, in which case you need to take it home for homework. As long as you have 2 talents, you are finished. If you have 4, awesome. As long as you have 2, you are finished. So if you have 1 or less talents, take it home and finish it. Okay, Zadie, go ahead and put it on the floor. So do it in your number order. Are you finished? Okay. Next person, if you're finished, put it next to Zadie. In order. We're going in order. Go put yours next to Michaela.